So I've had this Audi TT for 2 months now, and I think it's about time we give it a clean and a full service. But before we do anything, I just want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you, because the channel has just hit 1,500 subscribers and we're slowly growing. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below and help us out, because it really helps the channel out. So first things first, let's get it cleaned.
I'd run 1,000 miles if I could run with you. And from what I have heard, you do the same thing too. I wanna say forever, we could be good together. Guess misery loves company. Better too late than never. You know we could do better. So take a chance and run with me. Everywhere we go, we turn to paradise.
I'm no detailer, but the car is now lovely and clean. Now the car's clean, we'll get it up the ramp and we can do a full service. So when you're doing a service, it requires you to change some parts. And when you're changing parts, you might as well upgrade them. Because, you know, you wouldn't be a car nut if you didn't do upgrades. So as well as the service bits, I've got some nice upgrades for the Audi TT. So in this box, we have all the service bits. So I've got an air filter, but I don't think I need it. Then we've got a cabin filter, which helps, because in my car smells a bit funny, and I think it's only when I turn the vents on. We've then got a fuel filter, a brand new sun plug. On the back of the sun plug is a brand new oil filter. We've got some fresh 5W30 oil. The Fuchs stuff is usually okay, especially the Titan. I have used it before, but I do regular oil changes, so it's not that big an issue for me. And then these are MK2 Iridium spark plugs. You can't see because of the label on that, so I can show you on these, and on that, and on that. But you'll have to take a word for it. They are the Iridium plugs, because the Iridium plugs give you the better spark, and that moves on to our next modification. So in this box we have something fantastic, and I think it'll help my TT greatly, because we have the MK red Audi R8 ignition coils. So the red ignition coils off the Audi R8 are supposed to give you a stronger spark, a higher RPM, to prevent your spark from breaking down the faster the engine rotates. And you can't deny, the red coil is going to look cool in the engine. So now the first thing we'll do is we'll drain the oil, and while the oil's draining we can do everything else, put the sun plug back in and top it up. So let's get straight into it.
You got a smile that makes the sun rise.
So now we're under the TT, and that is the oil drain plug on the back of the engine. So you need to get a bucket underneath, take the plug out and let the oil drain. So I'm going to use a 19mm spanner, break the oil plug loose. See if I can get it out without dropping oil everywhere. So hey, take that. Now we'll just let it drain. While the oil is draining, the next thing we'll do is the fuel filter, and then we'll work from there forwards. So your fuel filter is located on the driver's side of the car, down here underneath this quarter, up facing the fuel tank. So I'll show you it now. That's if you're a UK or a right-hand drive. Not too sure if it's the same on the left. So your fuel filter is right under there. So if you come up, that is your fuel filter. See the big rusty bracket there? That clamp bracket has this bolt in it, which is supposed to be a positive head screwdriver, or a posi, across. But mine was that rusted out, I had absolutely no chance. So I had to drill it carefully, because I'm by the fuel, and then use a pair of needle nose pliers to spin the bolt and get it out, because it only goes into the plastic. So once you get it spinning, it's not too bad, but I will have to replace this. I'm just glad I got it off in one piece. So to remove this filter, there's one pipe on the front, and then there's two on the back. Where that blue tab is there, the same on the black, they are squash tabs, so you want to pinch them top and bottom, pull them out on both sides, and then you can slide the filter out of the housing, but be very careful when disconnecting the lines, because fuel will come out. So one, watch your eyes. Two, keep your face out the way if you can. And three, have something underneath it just to catch the excess fuel. And then to get the new one in, those pipes just literally click on in the same place you took them off, slide them back in that clamp and then bolt the clamp up. I'm going to do this off camera because it's quite awkward for access, but that's the process. So now the old fuel filter's being replaced, and I'm glad I did it. That's seen better days. We'll get back under the car, we'll change the oil filter, put the sun plug back in, and then we'll move to the top of the engine to do the spark plugs. So the oil filter is on the front of the engine inside this housing here. Underneath the oil filter looks like a little screw. I'm not too sure what it is, but if we get that off and out the way, it should help us get the housing off a bit easier. Just have a bucket under just in case any oil leaks, and I don't think that's going to happen yet. So I'll get that up out the way. So the hex on the bottom of this is actually a 36mm socket, and I know next to no one has them. So what I did was, I made sure that was in there to give it the space to make sure it's tight, and then I used these to break it free. It wasn't easy, but you can get it off. Or just buy a 36mm socket if you're doing this for preparation. And then it slowly comes loose, so just keep spinning it until it comes off. And when you get it free, a lot of oil will come down, so just be careful. There it is. That's all the oil I was on about. So it is a bit of a messy job. Pull it down and then drain the rest into the pan. And like me, when you get the cover off, your filter may stay in, so you have to pull the filter out. There's the oil filter. And I'm glad I'm changing this because that is black. Yeah, the oil's not clean at all. So now we'll get the oil filter housing and the new oil filter, and we'll get the oil filter in. And you'll feel it click, and then get the housing over, goes through the middle, and then tighten it up. And same again, we'll just nip it up with this. This only needs to be tightened to 25mm, so you don't need to go stupidly tight, but tight enough so it doesn't leak. Then get that back in. Now spray the area with some degreaser just to get the oil off. And give it a good wipe. Remove all that excess oil. Got your oil filter in, now we'll put the sun plug back in. We'll give the back a wipe, and then we'll install the new sun plug which you got with this service kit, along with the new crush washer. So that's the oil filter in, the new sun plug in with the new crush washer, and I'm really glad we're doing this because that oil is so dark. It's definitely not being changed for a long time. So now we'll top the engine up with oil so we don't forget to do it later on, and then we'll fit the new spark plugs along with the new coil packs.
So after an oil change, this engine takes 4.5 litres of oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it up with 2 litres and then another 2 litres, and then I'm going to top it off when the car's down after checking the dipstick, just to make sure I don't overfill the engine with oil, because overfilling the engine is just as bad as not putting enough in it.
So that's the fuel filter, the oil, and now the spark plugs. And a spark plug can tell you a lot about your engine based on what it's like on the top or where the electrode is. So let's get my spark plugs out and see how bad the engine really is. So to get the spark plugs out, we need to remove all of the coil packs, and to remove the coil packs you need to take these connectors off the back and slide them all off at once because it makes it that bit easier. So we'll get a flathead to clip all these off. So to unclip these, all I want to do is on the back, you'll see a little pull tab, just lift it up gently and then apply pressure forwards. There's 2, there's 3, and the last one's a bit stubborn.
One hour later.
So now that these are off, I have no idea what's being done to that coil pack, but that plug, I've just had to snap it to get it out because it looks like it's being glued in. I'll pull the coil pack out to show you, but to get the coil packs out is pretty easy. Just get a flathead underneath and pry them up gently and they'll come out. But as you can see on top of this one here, there's some what looks like glue all around it. Don't know what it is, but the whole plug was stuck, so I'm gonna have to replace that plug through the week. But for now, I'll put the coil packs in as normal because I need to drive home. But that is ridiculous. But like I was saying, to get these off, get a screwdriver underneath and gently prise them up. But if you're going to reuse these, you don't want to break them, so just be careful when you're doing it. That one seems a lot more difficult than the others. That's because it's different. Fantastic. It's a good job in changing these, as that is different to the other ones I've pulled out so far. So the next one, let's get this out. So again, you can see, completely different. Could be the cause of the misfiring issues I've had, but who knows. So we'll get these out, and these ones. Like I said, take your time with this, because you don't want to snap anything, especially if you're going to reuse them. So let's get these out the way. So now you need your spark plug socket. In the socket is a little rubber grommet that bites to the head of the plug when you pull it out. So we'll literally get this in and then crack the plugs loose. You shouldn't be in stupidly tight, because the last thing you want to do is strip these out.
After removing the spark plugs, you can see that they're pretty worn down. They don't look too bad, but they are worn. There is a little bit of ash on the top by the looks of things, but that could largely be down to poor fuel quality throughout the engine's life from the last time the plugs were changed. And I have no idea when the plugs were changed last, so I'm really glad we're doing this. But hopefully the new Iridium plugs will help the engine run a lot better.
So now we get the new plugs, get them out the box, and nice freshies, drop them in. So we'll start by getting them in by hand till you feel them stop, and then we'll nip them up. Now you don't want to swing on these because they can strip, so I always grab them over the head because you haven't got much leverage then. Give it a twist until you feel it stop, then give it a slight pull, and that'll be all you need. And that's the spark plugs in. And now the coil packs. So the new coil packs literally just press in and you'll feel them click over the spark plug. Then click your plugs in. Like I said, I replaced that one because I can't leave it like that, but it'll do for now. Now they're in tight. So now we've got the fuel filter changed, the oil filter changed, the oil in the engine, the spark plugs are changed, and the coil packs are changed. So what we'll do now is we'll drop the car, we'll prime the fuel filter because that will be empty, so it won't start straight away. I'll show you how to do that. Then we'll turn the engine over, make sure it runs fine with no leaks, and then we'll move on to the cabin filter because that stinks. But so far, visually, the red coil packs look a lot better and hopefully they perform a lot better. So let's get the car down. So now the car's back on the ground, we'll prime the fuel pump. And to do this, you put your key in the ignition, turn it to on, but don't start the car. You'll hear your fuel pump prime. Do that 2 or 3 times. And now we'll start it. And she sounds like she's ticking over, lovely. So now the car's down and we know it starts. The next thing we need to do is to replace that cabin filter because I think that's the reason why my cabin smells a bit funky when I turn the AC on. So let's get straight into that, and that is the last thing we need to do. So the cabin filter on the Audi TT is under the passenger footwell. So what you want to do is get your passenger seat all the way back, and then right under there is where your cabin filter is. So the first thing you'll need to do is to take that bolt out and that bolt out. And you'll need to open your glove box, and in there you've got 1, 2 and 3 bolts. So you need to get them 3 out and the whole glove box will come down. So we'll do that very quickly. Now that that's off, right down the back you'll see that. So if you just slide that over to the left, that'll come out, and yeah, it doesn't look great. Then you pull this down and that is your cabin filter. Mine definitely needed changing. There it is. So it goes in that way, so the slanty side's on the left. So now we'll get the new one in and we'll put it back together the same way we took it apart. Well, in reverse. And that's the cabin filter in and everything is back together. So I've let the car tick over for a little bit. I've scanned around the car to see if there's any leaks from either the fuel filter or the engine, because there'll be oil everywhere, and then you know you've done something wrong. But we're okay, there's no leaks, there's nothing going wrong. The engine sounds sweet, it's running lovely. So there's not much else to do now, so that'll be everything for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell so you get an update every time I post a video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Do you lie awake at night? Are you afraid to turn out the lights?